our garage and test facility. Let's see what we're rolling out today. I hope it's an SUV. Wishful thinking. People are always asking me, what's behind the door of your secret garage? Well, not much. Here it is. Nothing to see here, folks. But when the end of the world comes, we do have an escape hatch. And that concludes our tour. Looks like we got ourselves a nice bright red Jeep. Can't complain about that. This is a nice looking vehicle, especially with the red paint. I'm glad they didn't send silver like they usually do. And here's the side view. And the rear view. This is the Compass model. It's priced in between the Jeep Renegade that starts at 22 grand or the larger Jeep Cherokee that starts at 26 grand. On the Compass you have 6 versions to pick from. The Sport at 23 grand, the Latitude at 26, the Altitude at 29 grand, the Limited at 30 grand, Trailhawk at 31, and the High Altitude with a high price of 32 grand. Of course, options always drive the price up more. And it appears we've got the upgraded Limited version, which has a 4-wheel drive system standard. On the cheaper models, you have to fork up an extra $1,500. We also did a road test and video on the 2020 Jeep Renegade Trailhawk. We also drove the all-new Jeep Gladiator pickup truck and racked up 800 miles on that video. We'll have a link to both videos at the end of this video. Just go to the end, click and watch. I'm going to remove the window sticker off the car so we can take a closer look at the price. Okay, the base price of the Limited with 4-wheel drive is $29,905. We'll scroll down and see the standard equipment we get for that. But as always, there are more goodies to get into your wallet. Navigation, leather trim, sunroof, etc., etc. And with shipping, there you go, $39,130. Wow. That's a big jump from 23 grand base. And in case you're interested, this is where the parts come from and where it's assembled. And if something goes wrong, here's the warranty. The only engine offered is a 2.4 liter, putting out 180 horsepower and 175 pounds-feet of torque, pulling this 3,600 pound rig. Fuel economy is claimed to be 22 mpg in the city, 30 on the highway, and 25 overall. We're going to rack up some miles to see if that's true. Most of the Compass models will come with the 9-speed automatic, but on the base economy vehicles you can get a 6-speed manual, which will make a lot of people happy. Here's your 4-wheel drive system, automatic for the street, snow, sand, mud setting for off-road, and a 4-wheel drive lock button for more serious use. This has the so-called fuel saver start-stop system, where the engine shuts off at a stoplight and then starts again when you press the gas on a green light. You can disconnect that nonsense by pressing that. I wish we had a manual emergency brake. I don't like automatics, but we get an electronic parking brake. Oh well, I can live with that. And then there's the traction control you can disconnect. The climate controls are very simple. Just the way I like it. Everything is right here. The radio controls are a method in simplicity. I programmed all my favorite stations in around 60 seconds. You don't have to read the owner's manual to operate this. Now, if only the fancy German car manufacturers could take the hint and do that. On the positive side, the gauge cluster is well designed. Lots of useful information in the middle here. That's the good news. The bad news, like many Chrysler and Jeep products, as of late, we have this plastic cover that picks up reflections depending on the time of day, which is very annoying. I don't know why they do this. You'd think somebody would notice between prototype and production and fix this, but apparently they don't. And I would complain to this to the factory reps, and they just shrug their shoulders and go, eh. Just one of those things you have to live with. We do get a nice large glove box. Thank you very much. A lot of room in there. This is rated as a 5-passenger, but you're really not going to fit more than 2 people in the second row. 3 tiny monkeys or kids, maybe. I was glad to see the rocker panels under the door are not too wide, so you won't be rubbing your pant legs on here and getting dirt on your pants. Slight possibility here, but doesn't seem to happen much, so I'm not complaining. I've seen worse. One thing I like about this electric rear door is you don't have to use the electric door if you don't want to. You can open it manually to save the battery. Thank you very much. And here's what the rear storage space looks like. With these second row seats up, of course. Put them down, you'll have more room. Under the floor, we do get a spare tire. Allows you more storage room, too. There's a plastic funnel under here. Do not lose this. Don't. If you run out of fuel, as the Jeeps often do out in the wilderness, you cannot fill this up with a common gas can unless you have this special adapter. You don't have the adapter, you're not going to get gas in, and you're going to get stranded. Don't lose this. If you watched or read other reviews on the Jeep Compass from other reviewers, one of the biggest complaints often voiced is the substandard materials and plastics used inside the Compass, and I don't agree with those opinions. I find this vehicle to be more than adequate as far as cabin design and materials and workmanship, especially in this price class. Obviously, the color of black, okay, black's not a color, the shade of black, let's put it that way, isn't very attractive. A nice tan would look better, but overall, I still think this is a decent design. And what concerns me more are the very simple controls that are very easy to use. To me, that's a bit more important than some higher grade plastic. This concludes the first half of the video, which is show and tell. Second half, we're going to go out and do some driving and get some fuel economy readings. That's what we're here for, right? We'll start by taking these headlights out in the dark and see how they work. Tiny little things, but you never know. Might be pretty bright. It's dark enough. Let's take these lights out and see what they do. Look pretty bright. Here we have the low beams on the building 100 feet away. Good brightness, excellent height, good spread. Go to high beam. Looks pretty good to me. Here's what the camera looks like when you put it in reverse at night. Looks a little grainy on my camera, but in person it looks far better, trust me. And it goes back a long, long ways. Here we have the high beams on the building 300 feet away with the chain link fence in between. No complaints here. Good height, good spread, good brightness. Doesn't get any better than this. Go to low beam. Actually reaches out with a good spread too. I think it's safe to say these are excellent lights. Ten out of 10. Since this is the upgraded model, we also get side turning lights. Turn the steering wheel and you get this. Great for taking corners or wandering around in dark parking lots at night. So I've been in this drive-in for 15 minutes. Now, of course, the start-stop system doesn't want to turn off the engine to save fuel. Only when I'm on the street. figures. I found the suspension design of the Compass to be very good. It does appear to have a smooth ride by design anyway, but these large 18-inch wheels and tires create a lot of thumping noises on the street. So let's take some speed bumps to see what they do. By the way, you would think there would be a tire pressure monitor on the dash somewhere, but I just can't seem to find one, so I did reset the tires to factory specs. So they are correct. So as we do in all of my videos, we're going to take some mild speed bumps around 20 miles per hour to evaluate the suspension performance on impact. We'll do that right now as soon as this bicyclist gets out of my way. Okay, bump number 1 coming up. Reasonably smooth. Number 2. There's a lot of stiffness coming from these tires. No doubt about that. Here comes the nasty one. Felt that one. Not only are the tires and wheels a bit on the noisy side, this isn't the smoothest and quietest engine I've ever used either. The 2.4 liter has a reputation as being sort of a low standard engine. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I'll get in trouble. Well, let's see how quick it is. Well, let's try. Nice brakes, by the way. If you want to choose gears yourself for your drag racing moments, you can shift manually by moving the stick over to the left. The engineers did a fantastic job on this power steering design. Even though it's electric, it feels hydraulic with lots of feel, feedback, and response. Lots of response. I have no complaints with this one. I don't think you will either. For my viewers out there with a sharp eye, you might have noticed the fact I only put 35 miles on the vehicle and only have 210 miles of range left. So you're probably going to ask me, did I fill the tank? And yes, I did. If you look in the owner's manual, the capacity of this fuel tank on the Compass is 13.5 gallons, which is obviously a bit less than what you get in other SUVs, which obviously gives you less range than what you get in other SUVs. The bottom line, if you do a lot of city driving, you're going to be visiting the gas pump quite often. That's a little secret the other YouTube testers won't tell you, because they're basically nothing but advertising shells for Jeep. But we don't do that here. We tell you the truth. That's why you're watching, right? And just so there's no misunderstanding about the fuel capacity, here's the owner's manual. And here's the fuel capacity, 13.5 gallons or 51 liters. So far, this is the fuel economy we've been getting driving around town. We're going to take this on the freeway. See if we can bump up these figures a bit. So we'll set everything back to 0. By the way, earlier in the video, I mentioned at certain angles of the sun, the gauge cluster reflects a lot of glare. Here's a perfect example for you. Again, how this ever got in production is beyond me. Somebody's not paying attention here. Don't they drive their own vehicles? Well, in the meantime, let's carry on. In addition to all the reflections I'm seeing in the gauge cluster, I've noticed at certain angles of the sun, I'm getting a lot of reflection in the windshield from the dash. Nothing serious, just annoying. We're coming to the end of our trip. Pull over, see what the fuel economy reading says. Usually on an engine like this and other Jeeps, I get around 25, 26 mpg on a good day. Well, there you go, 50 miles, 24.5 mpg. We were going slightly uphill, but not enough to really matter. going to take a return highway trip, see if we can bump up these fuel economy figures. We're going slightly downhill, so we might bump it up just a wee bit. You never know. We're coming to the end of this trip. We'll pull over, see what our fuel economy reading is. Hopefully a bit higher. Looks like this is the end of the line due to road closure, so we'll have to cut this trip short. Take a peek and see what our figure is. We got 24.5 MBG going uphill. On the return trip, 27.1 going downhill. Add up the figures, divide by 2, you get an approximate real-world figure you might get if you're driving on level freeway roads. We're going to stop by the ranch house and do some patrolling out in the field. And some four-wheeling. Got to fix that roof. Been saying that for years. On the positive side, this vehicle does have good ground clearance for taking it off-road. Well, sort of. The drawback is in the front here. This air dam. It acts like a scoop, digging into gravel and dirt when you hit dips. So you have to be cautious of what you're doing. That air dam, also called a spoiler, is there to give better fuel economy on the freeway by creating downforce with the wind. Great for the pavement, not so great when you're off-road. If you're into serious off-roading, that's why Jeep offers the Trailhawk package on the Compass. Hardcore off-roaders might want to look into that. I had about 15 minutes of off-road clips I could have added to this video, but it's too long already, so I'll just condense everything with this one clip. Number one, we do not have four-wheel drive low on this, but with four-wheel drive lock, I found it was very easy to get out of bad situations. Unless you're following your buddies in a heavy-duty Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, I think you'll be okay as far as traction and not getting stuck. It went through a lot of washes, so the sand mode worked pretty good too. For light-duty off-roading, this vehicle is more than adequate, but if you need more, check out the Trailhawk version. So what's my take on the Jeep Compass after a week of driving? Well, for the 25 grand base, it's a pretty good deal. Get up to 40 grand, I'd have to think again. At least be easy on the option sheet, because you can really get a high price if you max it out with everything. But nice light-duty vehicle for limited off-road ability. It looks pretty nice in this bright red paint too. Here's some other Jeeps we've driven. Just click on the link and watch and subscribe.